you go. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today here in Asian Author Alliance. Build your shelves with Filipino debut authors. We highly encourage everyone to participate, and we want this conversation not only between our panels, but everyone who came in to join us in the chat as well. Um, we highly we simply request to follow online chat etiquette, no bullying, no discriminatory remarks. Let's all be kind and respectful of one another. Anyway, I'm Gail D. Villanueva. I'm the author of My Faith According to the Butterfly and Sugar and Spite. With me today are upcoming debut authors May, Karis, and Kara. And folks, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
So I'm May. I'm the author of the upcoming Chloe and the Kaishao Boys, which is a YA rom-com about a Chinese Filipino girl who gets set up by her dad on a marathon of surprise dates in the hopes that she'll stay in the Philippines for college instead of going to the US.
All right. Hi, I'm Kara. I'm the author, illustrator of Squalor Mage. Uh, Squalor Mage is a graphic novel, and it tells the story of Squallow and Mage, uh, a little magic girl and her best friend Shark with legs, as they travel mundo in a world filled with Filipino folklore and awesome creatures. Yeah, it's coming 2023 through HarperCollins.
Karis, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I am Caris Avendaña Cruz, and I wrote a middle grade novel about a girl who wore a map to the Encantos, where she has to escape the clutches of the evil Citan. It's coming your way, fall 2022 from FSGB FYR.
All right, great. Your books all sound really interesting. So, I think we're gonna begin this conversation with basically how you began your careers as writers, which is can you tell us how you signed with your agent? Because I do understand that every one of you will have a different story. Because there's no one agent story. Like what may have worked for me might not work for Kara or Karis or May. So it would be great. Especially if you have aspiring authors in the audience, it would be great to learn how you folks went through it, and just for them to see how varied the experiences are. So let's go ahead. Faith, can you please start?
Sure. So for me, I got my agent through like the cold querying process. So just like emailing whichever agent. Well, at the start, I think I just emailed this agent represents YA. Let me try her or them. But so I actually tried with the agent I have now. I first tried querying her like back in like 4 years, not 4 years, like 2 years before I actually signed with her, and it was just a really nice rejection, and I just really like all the books she puts out in the world. So when it came to like trying to query Chloe, I was like, okay, like she would be like on the top of my list. And then I remember I wasn't really ready for to query yet because like I was still like proofreading my letter and everything. And then I saw her tweet, I think that was like, oh, I'm closing to submissions like tomorrow. And I was like, oh no, I have to like get my query in. And then so I remember rushing it. And then once I hit send, I was like, oh no, there's a typo. Okay, this is all over. Like I'm not gonna get an agent anymore. But thankfully, like she still saw potential despite my lack of grammatical checking. But yeah, it was like just I remember it was my fourth project that I tried querying, so it was like just like a lot of years of trying and luck, I guess. Yeah.
No, no, we're not copy editors.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why we
yeah.
have copy editors, so it's totally fine. I'm pretty sure one letter isn't going to make or break your chances with an agent.
Mhm.
So yeah, Kara, can you
All right.
share with us your journey?
In 2019, DV Pit, this pitching contest on Twitter, where agents and editors can check out like your pitches or your log lines. They had DBPET had their first author illustrator pitching contest, and yeah, so I pitched Squallow and Mage, and there, like I got a bunch of likes from agents and editors, and yeah, so one of them was my dream agent. Yay! So I went with her. That's Sarah Crow of Pippin Properties. Woo!
Yeah, this another actually. There's one another way of getting an agent is joining pitch contests because they're like sometimes you just need to like follow the certain hashtags like in Kara's case or it's bitmad hashtag bitmad. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Bitmad hashtag divipet. Sorry, hashtag divipet. And there's also like what I was mentioning. It's bitmad. I believe there's also SSF SFF
SSF.
pit.
Yeah.
So there's another one. I think there's another one. I don't know. There are a lot of uh, online Twitter pitches where like Kara said, you basically create like a pitch and agents are gonna like it, and if they like it, you follow their submission guidelines and you submit to them. So yeah, that's one another way. From cold querying, you have like me, you have like Kara with bit and Karis, can you tell us about how your agent journey went?
Oh my gosh. Um, it was back in 2017. I just finished a story that I have been trying to finish for a long, long time, and it was a silly, stupid story, and I just really wanted to do something with it. So I stumbled upon these hashtags that you told us, and
Yeah.
I decided to try. And it was very, very amateurish of me because that was like I just finished my first draft and I just sent it out there. At the moment that I discovered those hashtags, I was like writing a pitch already, and I was just lucky that a few agents sort of like the premise, and by that time I wasn't really expecting much. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna send it. I wasn't really hoping for anything, so
Wait, hold on. You didn't edit it.
I didn't. That was so mean. I know. It was just I wasn't really expecting
You're
anything at
brave.
that time. I was just like hoping for something like an 1% miracle or something, and I sent it out. It was really really crazy, but the longer that I got, by the time that I was querying, I kind of like realized that wait, this could be possible. This dream is actually possible to become an author to even for a Filipino living in the Philippines. So I kept pushing on, and I started. That's the time when I started polishing the manuscript, editing the manuscript. Please don't do this. Please don't do this, writers. And then um, sadly, the book didn't get any bites. It still is the same stupid, silly story that it was, but I still loved it, by the way. By 2019, that's when I started writing another book, and I think that's when something kind of like clicked. Like when you knew when you have done something, life, you just feel that it's gonna be something. You just feel that it's gonna be okay. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is gonna be the book. So by 2020, I actually tried another DB pit. This time I already edited it and read it and revised it. And I was pretty sure that this might be something. And that same year, I got my agent.
Oh, yeah, don't do what Karis did. So yeah, just a reminder for everyone just logging in to our panel. Please feel free to leave questions on the chat. If you have any question for our panelists, just put it right in, and they'll read it out. If you know, and we'll try to answer. So let's move on. So the next step, essentially, after you get your agent, is like you go on sub. But yeah, we usually edit and then you go on sub. So essentially, yeah. So in my experience, in my age is like extremely editorial. So it took us like 6 months before I went on sub, and then 5 rounds of revisions every month. No, 5 rounds of revisions.
Oh,
So that's basically like 1 round every month. That's how editorial she was.
wow.
And yeah, but it paid off because we got yeah, she got me a deal with Scholastic, which brought out these 2 books, and it was well worth it. Yeah, so you gotta edit. Don't do a Karis and submit immediately right after writing the first draft. So would love to like share with us. Would you Can you please share with us your submission journey? May we start with you?
Yeah. So for me, I guess because like when I researched online, I was super focused for so long on like just getting the agent that I thought like, oh, once I get an agent, it'd be like, I mean, oh, someone would like it because like someone already kind of vouched for it. So I signed with my agent Tao. I think that was like September of 2018. And then around November, we went on revisions and back and forth edits. And then by November, she was like, oh, let's send this out to a bunch of editors. And so I was like super excited. I was like, okay, let's see. Like, I think it was like 12 editors or something like that. And I was like, 1 out of 12 is like it sounds like a good chance. But then I remember there were some that were kind of like they liked it, but like it wasn't just for that house or at that for the time. So I think that was like until the next that was like 2018. So until April of 2019, we were just getting kind of like passes from all these editors. So when we got the last kind of no, my agent Tao was like, oh, do you want to? An option could be like we could try working on another story and like sending that out, or do you want to revise this one and see where it goes? And since all the editors kind of had the same critique, or like they said, a lot of them said the same thing. I was like, I think we can go on revisions. So just from 2019 till 2020, it was just like edits with Tao. And I think we went on, I wasn't even sure when it was going to be ready because I was like, okay, we're just going to like try everything out. And then by last October, was it October or September of last year, Tao was like, okay, just give me like your bio and then we can send it to people. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're ready again. So I wasn't really expecting, I kind of expected like it would be a long process similar to like the last time we tried submitting. And then it was because like I was based here already. And then I remember getting emails at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And I know I shouldn't be checking my phone all the time, but then I'd wake up and like, okay, did I get an email? But yeah, I remember I got the kind of like one editor who was really interested. I think that was like at 3 a.m. I think it was like during the election to the US. So I was like, I thought they weren't going to be paying attention to their phones, but they were like, oh, I read this in the middle of voting. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. But yeah, like everything happened. It's like I don't know, this whole process. It's a lot of waiting, and then suddenly things start happening so quickly. Um, yeah, I just remember like a lot of like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. emails from town. I'm like, okay, yay, it's happening, and everyone's asleep, but yay, I'll try to celebrate. But yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah, it's the time zone is
mm,
it's wild. Yeah, a little more. We'll talk about that a little more later.
yeah.
Carol, would you like to share?
All right. So for me, I think the process for a graphic novel is a bit different. So what we did was, so Sarah and I, we kind of like worked on the story a bit more together after I signed with her. So what I had to do was like come up with uh, the summary of the story, the synopsis, and an outline, character sketches, sample pages, and the script. So it's a whole thing, but it doesn't have to be like a complete script yet. So when we pitched it to editors, it wasn't exactly complete, but it already had like the important stuff, I guess. And so when was that? That was in I think it happened. I think we started pitching around Feb last year, and we ended up like having this. What do you call that, Gail? Like an auction? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's an auction.
Yeah. So there were three publishing houses that were like, "Hey, we want to get your book," and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And that meant a whole lot of sleepless nights. So it was like super puyat life, man. It was bad, but super worth it. So yeah. So in March, that's when I
Problem talaga
announced.
yung time zone na yan.
Ah, super. So in
Uh,
March, that's when I announced that
it's
I
a
signed
pain.
with HarperCollins for my book. Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Karis?
Okay. We started revising the story back in July 2020, I think. And we went through, I think also like Gail, we went through many revisions. There were a lot of plot problems that we had to fix before sending it out, and then we sent it sometime in September, I think. But the process that happened to me was a bit uh, quick. I think we had responses within the month, and maybe because my agent Melanie was like pushing them so hard. And by October, we had a deal closed already. So there.
Actually, it's a good point that you mentioned that because the thing about when you're querying is that you keep on getting rejections upon rejections and rejections. That sometimes you feel like you just settle for just about anybody. But the problem is when it comes to the submission process. I'm sorry to say, but not every agent is equal when it comes to submission. Uh, there are those like it's basically it's an industry where contacts networks are really important. So I'm not saying like if you're new you're totally like screwed or anything, but the thing is like there are new agents that have like good good agencies that who are mentoring them, which means they also have the contacts. So that's one of the things that I do hope that other authors currently querying right now, you don't just settle for just for the sake of having an agent, because it's gonna come bite you in the butt later on. So we have a question from Pam. Hello, ladies. What's the biggest lesson you've learned working on your debut book? And what advice would you give to writers just starting their journey? Napaisip sila.
So may napaisip sila. Pam is actually the one who thought of the line of "fill the shelves" line. It's from her.
As-
We always credit it to her. Hi, Pam.
Pam, hello.
Hi, Pat.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like, oh, who's gonna answer my question now?
Biggest lesson.
They're trying to like skirt around the question by flattering you, Pam.
Okay, I think I got one. Biggest lesson working on my debut book. I think it's really about like focus. Um, Honestly, I have a very short attention span, so it's difficult for me to like focus on one thing at a time. And like having a big project like this, it really like pushes me to like do everything as much as I can in the short uh, span of attention of my attention span. I'm not a talker. I'm sorry. I'm a writer, so I'm not good at talking. Ah, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, it's really about focus. a whole lot of time management. I suck at that too. So yeah, like I think advice would be really like fix your day, make sure you really set time for your book. It's very important. Yeah.
Great advice.
Ganun na lang, ano? Great advice. I second the motion. Yeah, well, I hope that satisfies Pam's question.
I hope so too.
I hope so. So anyway, let's for our next for Rain Villanueva's question. Rain, we're gonna answer your question next, but I think this one is gonna be related first from the on the with Pam's question. So thing is, as Filipino authors living in the Philippines, writing for an international audience, uh, our journeys are definitely wrought with challenges. And as a like as an author living here, Filipino author living here, what setbacks have you encountered so far? And I'm guessing the first one would be the time zone. Because like in my case there are a lot. Because like once you get to the point of copy editing, that's when you will start to feel the how could I describe this, the cultural divide
Mhm.
of the American perspective with the Filipino perspective. So yeah, that's in my case, since with my past two books, especially with my first one, is that I had to explain a lot of things. Like for example, you know what? This is like that was the first time that 2 years ago in before Butterfly came out in 2019, probably that was like 2018. One of the things I just found out in 2018 that apparently waiting sheds, the term waiting shed that we frequently use, doesn't really exist in the American, uh, you know, in the American language. And so it's like apparent terminologies. Apparently, I had to like explain to them that they were telling me like maybe you should like change it to bus stop because the way you describe it, it sounds like a bus stop. And I was like, no, that's impossible. I mean, how are you gonna fit a bus in this like really narrow kind of road? There's like it's logistically impossible. So they were like, okay, if that's the case, like let's use waiting shed instead, but you will need to have to like in a way like incorporate in the narrative and how to explain it in a way for kids to understand that this is basically a bus stop, but for jeepneys and tricycles and like one of those smaller things that can pass through our really narrow roads. So yeah, it's usually those kinds of things that are those challenges are the things that usually come up in the editing phase, and especially the copy editing. But I think so far in the agent side of things, even in the submission side of things, from what you've told me, you've already encountered certain. You've started encountering the what do you call this? The global divide, in a sense that there are certain how to say this experiences that remind you that you are living in the Philippines. Like I do believe it's a time zone thing. Like can you like just elaborate a little bit on that? So how about you, May?
I guess for me during the first some of the agents that I created to at first, some of them suggested that they liked the story, but they were wondering if I could possibly change the location to the US, which I guess like for me like that was like um at first I was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do to get like published. But then it felt so ano it's like the core of the story is also so rooted in her being here. And um I guess it's just like when I write, it's I guess if you're going to be like with the international publisher, you're always thinking like I don't know, for me, like I my priority is always doing right by the people I represent, or like being true to like the experience of, because it's a Chinese Filipino character, and like and she's from that community, but also you're also trying to make it understandable for people outside that culture. So it's always that like kind of push and pull when you're I guess when you're writing for that perspective. Yeah, and I think it's harder. Like I think I try to like also see the differences between like if you're the difference between Asian America versus like Asia in Asia, or like someone who's still westernized but is still based here. So just trying to like capture those nuances. And I'm just like really grateful that I have like my editor and my agent now. They're both people who are open to hearing those differences and like supporting a story like this. Yeah.
Definitely, actually, like the perspective itself, it's different because one important thing to know that's pretty common in my books is the discussion of colorism.
Mm-hmm.
So like probably in other countries, in like Western countries, just like when they are actively trying to like battle the idea of white being the superior uh, skin color. Here in the Philippines, we have like rows upon rows of skin whiteners in the grocery, and that's something that if you're not used to seeing that kind of thing, it becomes kind of like it's hard to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like it's kind of like hard to grasp why, like your majority of you are brown, but your majority of those brown people want to be white, and why is that? And that those are the kind of things that can only happen in certain cultures, and it's kind of hard. It's actually like it's interesting actually, like before I even started the writing for US publishing, is that I never really thought about that. I mean that I always thought that it's the norm. But when I got to know like a lot of like BIPOC Americans, and like that's when you realize that you know what, it's totally different. Like I'm experiencing a different kind of discrimination here, and they're experiencing a different discrimination there, and that kind of perspective of seeing what they are experiencing and getting a chance to be able to show that your perspective of living here. I think that's like I think it's a great I don't know. It feels like it's such an honor that we were given an opportunity to be able to do that. And yeah, well, sorry, Rain. We're gonna get to your question next, but yeah, and I'm just trying to keep the flow going because I think the next important question here is why did you write these particular stories? And I would really love to know from each one of you on this one because I think it is really important and it would say a lot about how you came up with your book. Yeah, let's. Can you start me?
Oh, so why did I write this? I guess like honestly, it's also like a really big honor to be included like in a panel of just for Buwan Wika, and like to be included with Filipino authors, because I think I don't know, I think it's like because I'm Chinese Filipino too, so like that um I guess like not really when I was younger. I think like recent years it's just like, oh, am I Chinese? Am I Filipino? Can I call myself Filipino? Those things always come up. And I think when I I've always been writing since I was younger, but then this is the first story I ever wrote that starred a Chinese Filipino character. And I remember like I think it was I was in like a writing class, and then the teacher was like, "Oh, why don't you try writing what you know?" And then that's when I was like, "Okay, let me write something that felt like true to like my own high school experience." And um but yeah, I honestly like really like so the concept of my book, it's all about kaisha, which is a very Chinese Filipino term, which is basically when parents kind of introduce you to like a potential person and stuff like that. And I guess like I never thought of it as like something different or unusual. But then I remember I'd tell my friends about it, even once here or like even abroad, and then they would always find my stories really funny. And then I was like, oh, what if I make it like this happens in high school and make it even more awkward? So I just went with that concept, and it was. I mean, it's really fun writing like a rom com, but it's also so nice to like kind of like write people that seem familiar to me, and like I know they're also in an all girls school, and like they go naglandian sila in like a church, so parang it's like very like things that I feel like would happen in a high school, like someone in my high school before. So yeah, I guess just like I guess I just trusted in that, and like thankfully someone liked the story that came from that perspective.
Thanks, May. How about you, Kara?
Yeah.
Whew, okay. Okay, so the whole theme of Squalor and Mage, it started as like I wanted to make a comic that's sort of like a video game. I mean, like with like video game characters, terminologies, and all that stuff. So the very first Squalor and Mage comic that I made was kind of based on a true story, where wherever I went, um, here in Manila, this song by December Avenue was playing everywhere, and I love those guys. They're really good friends, and so like I made this comic about it, like Squalor and Mage, like going around different towns, and that song is also playing there, and they end up in a town that plays all December Avenue songs, like in everywhere. So I wanted to bring a bit of like Filipino music also in my story. Uh, I don't know if like this isn't like a super spoiler or whatever, but I kind of like slip in cameos of like Gary V and Regine Velasquez in my graphic novel. And so yeah, like besides throwing in like our pop culture stuff, in my book, I also wanted to throw in like Philippine folklore. And for those who've seen uh, Trece on Netflix, you kind of get like an idea that Filipino folklore, we have all sorts of really cool monsters and creatures that you don't see in like Western, um, you know, stories, like uh, Western fantasy stories and stuff like that. So I wanted to like bring that out in my book. So yeah.
Yeah,
Which
Kara is
December Avenue
definitely.
song?
Huh?
Which December Avenue
Oh my
song was
goodness.
playing?
Which one?
What was that again? The acronym is Kaderly. What is that? Kung diri lang
Ah, oh
kung
my God. Okay.
ikaw. Yeah.
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 Well,
It's
Ultimate Soul
Kaderly.
song.
actually, Kara's right about the creatures that we have in the Philippines are like amazing.
They're so cool.
Just think about the manananggal. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, folks. You have a vampire, essentially a vampire, with a tongue that can stretch, like literally forever. And this very same vampire can sever itself, like the upper half, literally from waist up, and have like bat like wings and fly and just have their other half hanging out. I don't know, standing there. I mean, how imaginative, how imaginative is that? I mean, it's just not like, the I'm sorry, I'm not dissing any not dissing any fans of sparkly vampires, but I mean, come on. I think that kind of like a little bit different than the Edward that you're used to. I mean, like, just put like Edward sparkling, like sever him in half, make the upper half fly away. and like give him like a tongue that stretches in forever. I
Uh-oh.
don't know. It's kind of like gross. It's really totally imaginative. So like I'd love to hear about Karis's why she wrote this particular story, because like your book is rooted a lot in Filipino folklore.
Yeah, just like Kara, I wrote my story with the thought of Filipino folklore in mind. Initially, the concept of the story was um, inspired from something so close to me, and I really wanted to tell more about that in the story. But um, just like what you said, I mean, we've grown up with Greek gods and goddesses. We knew those names even before we were children, but we hardly knew about our own deities. And I wanted to like feature those characters in Marikit. And I think it was like, if it was like a food, it was more like halo halo, because it's like a dump of so many Filipino folklore characters that older generations will will find familiar. They'll find it familiar, and um they're gonna see monsters, they're gonna see gods. It's like I wanted this book to be, a fairy tale for children, for Filipino children all over the world, that they could find something that's them, that's theirs, and they could always pick it up and find something that will remind them of home, and they will always feel like, oh, these are our stories, these are our legends, and they can be it could be something that they could be proud of. So there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Honestly, I think representation matters a lot to us, and from the way from what I've heard from all three of you is that basically, essentially, you want us to be represented. And I've actually written a blog post with Scholastic with a Scholastic blog about that, and I think the main issue here is that we hardly see ourselves in the stories we read. Even like I mean, come on, like just think about it. Even in Marvel, I mean, it's awesome that we have like Asian representation now, but part of me is still kind of sad that the only Filipino representation that we have in Marvel is just Ned, just only one. And he's not even a hero. He's a sidekick.
Sidekick.
Yeah, and he's there for laughs. And I mean, the guy is totally smart and everything. That's cool. But he literally said in the movie, "I'm the guy in the chair."
Yeah.
So that was kind of like when I heard that, I was like, ouch. It was kind of like, eto na lang ba tayo forever? Parang, you think about that. Like, is this all that we will be? Are we all gonna be just, sidekicks? And that's why, I mean, it's amazing that we have like your books now. Like we have like Kara's middle grade novel, with a middle grade graphic novel. We have Kara's MG. We have like May's YA, all coming soon in the 2022, 2023, and it's it's a great step. And I think a lot of kids would really appreciate that. And speaking of which, that's when I'm gonna like answer Rain's question about what's your favorite, what's your current Filipino read right now. This is what I have right now with me, because like
Oh, so
yeah,
pretty.
I showed it recently to my agent. That's why it's around here. There's also Erin Entrada Kelly's latest one.
Yes.
Maybe near
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cute. Yeah, so this one is
Yeah.
Manuel Visits. This is a really touching picture book. Um, it's about a girl who lives in, I believe she lives in the U.S., and every time she looks forward to the visits of her Lola, and the art here is it's cute. It's really cute. Here, see, it's like summer smells like a letter to Lola, sealed in a mint flavor and with bubblegum scented ink. It's really
Oh, wow.
amazing, right? Yeah, it's really cute. So you can if you're based here in the Philippines, you can get this from Fully Book. That's where I got it mine. So yeah, it's really good.
Pretty.
Marisol Rainey is also available. Aaron's latest book. It's available from Fully Book. I haven't gotten my copy yet because quarantine. Like quarantine restrictions. I can't. I live in
Yeah.
Rizal, and the nearest Fully Book branch from me is in Katipunan and UP. So I have to literally cross Pasig, Marikina, and Quezon City borders just to get my books. And I was thinking, like, might as well just let them, I'm so jealous. I haven't got
What is
and
it?
and look, she signed it.
jealous.
Oh,
I'm so
Yeah,
jealous.
I went out during quarantine for this book.
Oh,
oh.
well, mine is such a huge challenge. It's like I have to literally cross three borders, three
Yeah.
major checkpoints. So that's like I'm like, okay, sorry, Erin, I love you, but I have to wait for MECQ to be lifted, or like ECQ is just really a hassle right now. So
Yeah, it
that's
sucks.
another yeah, that's another thing that I'm actually incorporating in my next book is about the pandemic, because the way the Philippines treats the pandemic is like totally different from the way it's treated in the US. I mean, here it's not even a matter of are you gonna get vaccinated. It's like matter of can you get vaccinated? So that's the question that we usually ask ourselves. So anyway, yeah. I think I
Ah.
think it's a
Oh,
really
cute!
oh, what can I see? Yeah,
I have my book with me.
I
Cute!
still have a lot. I have a lot. I actually have every Erin Kelly book because, like, I'm a huge fan.
Oh, wow.
So if Erin is
I
there you have it. I'm gonna sign that to
Yeah,
me.
you have to sign this. You haven't signed
Of
this one yet.
course. Yeah, we're gonna sign it with me totally masked, double masked,
When we
and
can
of
hang
course,
out again.
yeah, hopefully.
It's
Uh,
been so long.
it's been too long. So yeah, and okay, so we have like I believe we have like less than 10 minutes, around 10 minutes left. No, no, no. Yeah, around 10 minutes left. But we have a few more questions. Like, I'd really love to know where do you get your ideas? I mean, I get mine from the shower. I mean, it's totally weird. It's really really weird. Like, yeah, if I have like I remember my editor gave me this like really complex plot hole question, and I'm like, how am I gonna answer that? And my husband said, you know what, like with no scratching. I think you need to like try to take a bath for a very long time, and maybe you'll get the answer. And it was actually a good thing that I was stinky, and I took an extra long bath. So I was able to like work things out in the shower because like I think that's the only place can literally be on my own and have like total basically like you can't hear anything but the shower. Yeah, because like here it's like really impossible. I mean, if I try to write or like try to figure things out in the bedroom, the ducks are literally under my bedroom window, so they're gonna like scream. And if I try to do it in the home office, it's like really far from where the ducks are, but they scream out loud, like really loudly, so I'll hear. So, there's like really no place to get ideas, and that's mine. And I'm really curious where you get yours, because like mine's kind of weird in the shower. So, how about you, May? Where'd you get yours?
I guess for mine, I guess for YA, there are just like a lot of staples of like typical like high school scenarios that happen. And then I always think like, how can I make this situation more awkward or more kidding? It's either one of the two if you're writing a rom-com. And I guess like I also start from characters first usually. So like sometimes I like just get an idea of like this main character, and then I have an idea for like their love interest and like how, and then the story kind of comes after, like what type of story would like suit these two characters and what journey they could go on. But yeah, I think that my last hopefully it becomes like a story, but like my last idea, it came to me like I think it was like a week after like I wasn't able to sleep like for a number of nights, and then I think it was like I was just up staring at the ceiling, and then I was like, oh my, I came up with this like prom scene that was super super awkward, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds fun. Let me write this in the future. So like I hope that in the future I still have like those moments where I just get like an idea out of nowhere, but sometimes it's also just like staring at your screen and being like, how does this work? And then just kind of working through things then.
Yeah, actually, I envy you. I can't stare at my screen and get ideas. I usually need to go out. Yeah, I mean that's why the pandemic is so hard for us. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so used to like going to the my husband. I live in Cainta, so I'm near the Sierra Madre Mountains. So before the pandemic, we used to go up to Poso Poso, Antipolo, and Cogyo, and the area of Sierra Madre area. And we just go out there and hike, and I usually get my ideas, and I go back here feeling refreshed, have all these ideas. I mean, you get so many things in nature and traveling and like meeting new people, and like actually there was this I remember there was this scene. I remember we were driving along a road in Pasig. The road was like really narrow, like really really narrow, so you can see the people hanging out outside your house. And I remember that we were stuck in traffic, and there was this man who was um he was shirtless, and then he was really like scratching his back on the wall.
Wow.
And, like, I mean, it's totally random, it's totally weird, but I had this bright idea. What if this man was like a god in disguise, and he's a person like main character needs to ask something from. So you get random things like that. I mean, wouldn't it be cool like you have like a god who keeps scratching himself with the like concrete wall. So it's interesting. It's interesting with the random things that you see. So how about you, Kara?
Hmm. Um, I guess you can say that I get a lot of ideas from playing video games. Um, and also my nieces, they have like this crazy energy that's like, Tita, Tita, look what I can do. And then it's like they just want to keep doing everything, and it's inspiring really. Like all these weird ideas that they can come up with, and I'm like, hey, pwede yan. And yeah, it's really like borrowing ideas from your surroundings, like Gil, what you said, guy scratching his back against the wall. um yeah, I think also from like watching documentaries, like I love watching like documentaries about animals, like especially sea creatures, because they're so cool, and like you get to learn like what they can do, and in a way that can be like superpowers, right? So yeah, get it from your surroundings. Ideas are cool. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
there.
sorry, I got distracted by Pam's question. Duck scream. Yeah, they do. I mean, like, as in, you can feel the difference between the normal quacking and the
Mm.
ones where they exert an effort to be heard. It's wild. But yeah, kids are the best, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
ideas. They're like fountains of ideas, literally. Because I remember having this doing this workshop for kids, and the main question for that workshop was how to get writing ideas. And what I essentially gave them is that I gave them random objects. I like a flip flop, a Ziploc bag, something like that, like totally random. And I told them like basically find your ideas from basically you need to find the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I told them, and you'll never believe what this kid came up with. She chose a Ziploc, and essentially she made a horror book, a horror plot out of that Ziploc. The
Damn.
Ziploc is like storing like evil spirits.
Ooh.
Yeah, like she's 11.
Mm.
This is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. How about you, Karis?
Oh my gosh, I should join your class. I really get things from my ideas from random things too, so I should be there. I might I could get the top score. I could get ideas from small stuff like candles
So talaga
or
nakipag-compete pa sa bata.
I'm just 13 years old, just pretending to be an adult. Sorry, there just the small stuff. I guess the brain has this thing to expound things, and it tells a story on its own. Actually, I'm not doing anything. It's like the brain just decides, okay, this one looks cool, and then let's go away with it, make a story with it, and there, I guess.
All right, just quick ones since we'll need to wrap up. This was supposed to be just a bonus question, but it's I think this is one of the most Filipino of all Filipino questions. What is your favorite
Ooh.
Filipino food and why?
What?
It's like a really hard. I mean, salamat nga kayo. I'm not asking you what is your type of adobo.
Yeah.
Because it like really tells a lot about a person, their preference for adobo.
Your question's so hard.
What? I mean,
Favorite Filipino food? Damn.
Like just one?
just one, just one. I'm gonna make it hard.
I hate you, Gail. May you go first. I don't know.
Um, hmm. I'm I'm not sure if it's my favorite, but I feel like it's very underrated. Or like I super love laing, and like it's just like my comfort go-to food. Even though like my mom's always telling me like it's bad, like all the coconut milk isn't that good for you, but like it's so good, eh. And it looks like vegetables, so I'm like
Yeah, it's
maybe there's some
healthy.
maybe there's some nutrients in there. But yeah, I think it's underrated. But so many favorites from
Yeah, same
so many good
me. I
Filipino
also
food.
love like anything with coconut milk. But I think my absolutist favorite would be sinigang. I mean,
Mm.
it's unlike usually, diba, when you say what's your favorite Filipino food, people will say lumpia, adobo, or something like that. And the sinigang in particular, I feel like it's like really Filipino because like I mean it has all the ingredients that we can find in essentially here everywhere. I mean you
Yeah.
can get my sister I had my sister like grow a sinigang garden.
Aw.
Yeah, so like every time I needed like sinigang ingredients, like I just pick stuff from there. Like you get the labanos, you get the
So
kangkong,
nice.
yeah, and the siling panigang. I mean, tomatoes. She even has tomatoes, like even garlic. Essentially, like that's basically it. What you have is what you have in the gardens. You can do it. That's why I feel like it feels really Filipino to me.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like
Super
kind of like
cool.
in a native sense as well. I mean, probably. I don't know. I've read somewhere that it could have been dated pre-colonial times because of the kind of cooking, like
Mm.
stewing. Because like I believe like a lot of native Filipinos are into stewing stuff. How about you two? You
Hmm.
gotta say it. Come on, like before
I
we
think
wrap things up.
I
Just
think
quick one.
tapsilog. Like, well, if there's tapsilog in the menu, I'm like, that's what I'm getting. Um, yeah. Like example, I guess. You go to a fancier restaurant that serves like Filipino food, and there's like tapsilog with like Angus beef and like fans wagyu. I'm like, oh yeah.
And they have
Um,
organic rice, mountain rice.
yeah. But I think like the thing that makes it even more special is the garlic rice. The best. Yeah, tapsilog all the way.
We're going to make everybody hungry. I'm sorry if you live on the other side of the world. It's probably 10 p.m. now there, and you probably can't get access to food right now. But it's almost it's 10, so I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm hungry. I'm thinking about food. So
Probably make tapsilog.
yeah.
Yeah,
How about you,
have
Karis?
absolute
This
later.
is so random, but this is, ano, just bibingka.
Ah,
Because it's
yeah.
September
Mm.
and the
Reminds
Christmas
me of
season is upon us.
Christmas. Definitely Christmas season. Like I love the ones with lots of salted duck egg. That was
Ooh,
before.
wow.
Yes.
Like that's the only salted duck egg that I will eat now. I'm gonna tell you, like, if you have like four ducks that lays eggs every day, you essentially have like four duck eggs daily, and you get to a point that you get tired of it. But bibingka, like salted duck egg on bibingka, is like an exception for me, like 100% an exception. So anyway, I think we're out of time, and it's been so much fun having you three here, and I do hope everyone who tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in with us, and I hope you our their follow their journey and their publication. Here you go. We have like ah, it's sorry about that. Hold on, let me try again. These are the maze books. Please follow on. Make sure that you add it on your TBR on Goodreads. There you go. We're putting it in the chat so you can remember. And before we go, can you folks tell us where else they can find you online? And if you have like upcoming events or anything like that or whatever that you want to plug, feel free to plug it in. Wait,
I'm I'm
yeah.
on Twitter or Instagram. Just I think the name. Where is the name? Basically, this one. That's my username. Then Meiko Yuto. I am not on TikTok, but I scroll there, but I don't post content. But I'm on every other social media channel.
How
um,
yeah, Kara.
okay. Cara Badagon, Instagram, Twitter. Instagram, that's all art. Twitter, some art, a bit of ranting, and a lot of music news and video
Yeah,
games.
really good art too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has really adorable art. How about you, Karis? Go ahead.
uh, it's Karis Evan Cruz everywhere. So there.
See, it's so much easier to just use your name for your handles.
Yeah, actually, I'm the same.
Definitely.
I'm I'm Gail D. Villanueva everywhere. GailDVillanueva.com is my
Mhm.
website. Here you go. I'm putting it in the chat as well. I'm on Instagram as Gail D. Villanueva, Twitter, Gail D. Villanueva. But yeah, you can, my books though, you can get my book websites because like I'm lazy putting in, sorry. But I do encourage, I do encourage you to visit to buy from indie bookstores. Yeah, Books of Wonder, you can get my books there, and you can get the information from butterflynovel.com and sugarandspice.com. And I'm also gonna be with the Young Blood Writers Conference. They're a group of youth writers. We're gonna have like the conference on this coming 31st. So you can find some of the information here. And yeah, there you go. And thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Everyone who tuned in. And I'm pretty sure you're hungry already because, like, we really needed to end your panel with food. Because thank you, panelists, for waking up early, and everyone in the Philippines for waking up early. We know
Thank
it's kind of
you.
an odd time, but we want to have the
It's a
opportunity.
Saturday.
Yeah, and it's a Saturday. I know it's a Saturday. It's Saturday morning. It's really hard to get up, and we really truly appreciate you doing that for us. And of course, everyone in the East Coast who stayed up late, and in the other side of the world, and like I know it's kind of late there now, and good night to everyone in the U.S. and good morning to everyone here in the Philippines. And thank you, and don't forget the ones in the chat. Just add your books in Goodreads. Wait for it. They're gonna be great. Fill your shelves. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next time.